Good morning, good morning, good morning. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. I'm in the top right of your screen here, folks. We're going to watch the sunrise together as even though the camera's a little bit brighter, it's a little bit more, what do you call this? Almost dawn, full sunrise. We'll catch the sunrise as it's coming up to its apex right over the horizon. And hopefully we'll have some good conversation. Any which way, let's get right to it, folks. Your life in focus. What does that look like? When I say your life in focus, we're talking about what are you doing to make sure that you fine tune the things in your life. This comes from a conversation I had with my wife and my daughter. My daughter had softball practice last night, and I'm not like a huge softball, baseball fan, but I understand the mechanics of softball and what they entail. My daughter, I noticed when she was pitching, she made it, made a pitch went wild, way up high, not like in the strike zone. It was a wild pitch. Catcher threw the ball back, and then she immediately pitched again. Wild pitch again. And this kept continuing on because I'm watching my child's practice. I'm there sitting in a parking lot at an elevated position, being able to watch her and see the whole field from the car. And I'm watching her pitch, and when I'm watching her pitch after pitch after pitch, and there are no changes, I'm able to key into her mindset. And what happens at this age, the after a certain amount of pitches, the coach gives you a good chance, and then they pretty much take over pitching. This is practice too, by the way. They will take over and finish the pitch up so the girl can, get a bat. They're not going to go through 40, 50 pitches to make sure that till one girl hits it or another girl strikes her out. The coach is going to come in there and deliver a pitchable a hit to the batter that's practicing. And once my daughter got done with practice, I talked to her about it, and I said that, while you're 10, at some point, and I understand she's a child, but again, you have to understand that there's only 8, let's say till 18, right? Most seniors are going to be 18. She's 10 going on 11. That means there's only 7 years to prepare and perfect a craft which we essentially want her to get a scholarship for, which she's looking to play into college. These are her desires, not mine. I'm not here to push my kid as I once was, although I admire that, but I'm not here to force my kid to play a sport because I ain't paying for college if you don't get a scholarship. No, we're not that broke and desperate that we need to have that kind of ultimatum for success. My kids are academically successful, so they should be able to make it just off the scholarship components alone. But the sports do help. And this comes, if you can see right here in the further skyline, you can see the clouds towards the end. The clouds are a hue of purple as the sun is starting to rise. It's a nice scenery here as I head into Philadelphia. But when I talk to my daughter, I say, as a 10-year-old, still you want to pitch. You don't like it when the coach takes you out and doesn't let you pitch or pulls you off and says, hey, I'm going to pitch, or let's get somebody else in there. I told her, I said, if you're going to stomp your feet and walk away because you're upset about that, then you need to do something to change the way you pitch when you see you're throwing a wild pitch. Now, this, you might be like, I'm not here to listen to softball stuff. You need to understand where this is going. And if you watch this channel long enough, you're going to understand when I, as a father, am saying this relates to you in your life. It does. When she is throwing wild pitches, she immediately gets the ball right back from the catcher and she proceeds to pitch again wildly. There are no adjustments being made. There is no correction of form. There is no thought of, let me take my time, recalibrate, let me look at what I did wrong, and let me make adjustments. Let me make adjustments so I don't have to make the same mistakes again. None of that is occurring. Now, if you look at that into your life, you're making mistakes, and instead of making adjustments when you make a mistake or you get yourself into a bad situation, you get yourself into debt, you get yourself into a situation, a bad relationship, or anything else in your life that requires change. You don't make the adjustments. Now I'm gonna go back, pivot back to my daughter because now you have the base form. Man, look at that skyline right there. Those blues and pinks, that is beautiful. No, I mean, not only do I give you wisdom, I give you scenery on this. So I go back to my daughter and I'm telling her is that listen, when you want to look at this car here, speeding too fast from the back, bro, slow down, man. That's too aggressive. That car in the back there that's getting over to the left lane. That's way too aggressive, man. Look at that skyline, man. Sunrises. My people out in Cali, you won't get sunrises like this. It's just purely different. Your sunsets look like this, but not your sunrises. We got you beat. In any case, I'm talking to my daughter and explaining this to her. And of course, at 10, we start getting that pre-adolescent, disregard for daddy's advice. And I told her, I said, when I say something to you, just immediately respond without taking time to think about what I'm saying. This is not a disciplinary response that you need to have. You need to think about this because when I've asked my children about the sports they want to play, my daughter has decided that softball is something that she wants to pursue as a serious sport. She chose this path. And the reason why I say this is because many times we still see our children as a child, not as someone that we're preparing for adulthood. And at some point, at some age, whatever age it is, you've got to pivot to training what is a child into an adult. And that means you're going to have adult type conversations. You're going to have to start building up a framework for adult situations and the commitment that you need to have as an adult, or you will raise a grown child for someone else who hopefully has been raised as an adult, will now have to fight and deal with someone who has not been prepared for adulthood. And that's a crazy thing to have to deal with when you see people who are not ready for adulthood, not able to live in the world. And we see examples of that. And something as simple as sports is a good training ground to begin that journey because it's right. You can't teach them about, you can't teach a 10-year-old. I mean, you can, but you can't teach a 10-year-old like, hey, here's how you want to make sure you look at penny stocks and housing stuff and mortgage payments. I mean, you can introduce them to them, but it's not kind of really within their wheelhouse or, something they can like really grab onto. So their sports is a good way to get them trained in discipline, commitment, work ethic, and a host of other things that you can have this conversation with your child. Now, if you say, well, my child doesn't play a sport, what can I do? Well, we'll save that for another video. Right now, we're on the parents whose kids play sports, and we can utilize that advantage. We can't get everybody in every video for everything and every topic. But what you can do is use a musical instrument. You can use the commitment to working on the things that you are not perfect with in order to perfect yourself. What happened was, we're driving home and we took a few minutes in the car to talk once we parked and got back to our place. And my wife, of course, is looking for us. And I'm like, I'm in here talking to her. And I'm telling my daughter, you got a decision to make. When you want to play a sport, you're in competition. The coaches for now, when you're in these little leagues, minor leagues, and major leagues, before you go off into high school, there's all these teams you can potentially get on. Everybody gets a chance to play. Well, in high school, that changes. There's one team, the high school team that you can try out for. And if you don't make that team, you're not on the team. If you're on the team, that doesn't mean that you get to varsity. And there are freshmen who go up to varsity because they're just that good. But when they go up, they're taking senior spots. If they're good enough to play, they're going to take a position. Now, there's only a certain amount of positions on the softball field, baseball field that you can play. It's not like you can play offense or defense, and you're on a team like football. You could it's 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, or you could play special teams. There's not the availability of you being able to slide into something else for the time being. There are, the infield, pitcher, catcher, first the baseman, and the outfield. After that, there's no other positions. So the competition is steep, and there are only a certain amount of spots available on that team. Now, if you can make the team, but then playing is another difference. So if she's pitching and pitching and pitching and she doesn't make the adjustments, then after a while, like in high school, they're going to take you out of the game and put another pitcher in. And once you out of the game, which my daughter doesn't understand, once you're out of the game, you're no longer pitching the rest of the game. You're out of the game as a pitcher, which means you may only be hitting now, which means scouts or collegiate scouts or recruiters only get to see a limited amount of your athletic ability, which means the same way economically, when you make bad decisions, people can only see your abilities in a limited fashion, which means that you may not get picked by high tier people or get high tier opportunities. And that's where I told her next. So, you're competing against other girls who are crafting and perfecting their craft. And those girls it doesn't matter if they're in clubs, if they're practicing or training year round, the mindset to make adjustments will always win at raw talent. It will. You could have all the raw ability in the world, but the ability to make adjustments when things are not going well for you, that is the superior mindset. Because like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched, until you get knocked out. Then you got to get back up and understand things are not going your way. That's what makes champions. That's what makes people thrive into life, because sometimes life doesn't go the way you want it to, correct? And the goal in this video is for you to look to this as an analogy on how you can apply this into your life using this mindset and understanding. And also, if you are a parent, to apply this to your children. But you got to start having these conversations with your children and awakening the adult seed that is inside of them. Believe me, because before you know it, they'll be interested in boys or girls, if you have a son, and they'll be interested in having sex. They'll be interested in a whole lot of things. And by the time you awaken to what you don't understand as a budding adult, you still are in the mindset, you still are in the mentality thinking you got a child in front of you. You have not awakened. You are still asleep in the safety of saying, I got a child, not understanding that you have a young adult, an adolescent in your hands right now, a baby young adult that needs to be groomed for the adult world. When I say groomed, I'm talking about raised as a parent, raising a biological child. And I'm letting her know that, again, then when the more superior athletic girl who can make the mental adjustments, she wins the best scholarship out of the competition in this area. Then you go to the second best school with the second best degree offerings. Then you get the second tier jobs that can be offered through your degree. And then what happens after that? You got a second tier life. Now I go home and talk to my wife about it because I am upset, but I'm not yelling at her. I'm talking to her with a sternness to get her to understand the importance. Again, some conversations, you're not yelling at your child, but you're talking to them in a sternness to get them to understand the importance of things that they are doing that matter. And I told my wife, again, this is the last part, I'm going to land my plane. The excuse that no one's perfect, no one's perfect. In my mind, that is a bullshit excuse that gets people out of they do not now have to pursue perfection. We're not in pursuit of perfection and fail at the attempt to perfect ourselves. What we're doing here is saying that because no one is perfect, I can be perfect at being imperfect, and I don't have to perfect myself. I don't have to spend any energy. I don't have to exhaust my pursuit of perfection. That means I'm bettering myself. You know, if I'm lifting weights, I don't have to pursue the perfect form so long as I can lift the weight. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if I can truly retain the knowledge that I'm learning as long as I can pass the class. And all the people who are just passing classes, you can see when you get out in life, they don't know how to apply anything, and nor do they understand how to think. Because I'm going to give you the secret of adulthood that I've learned from me. Everybody's not going to agree with what I have to say, and I don't really give a damn. But I'm going to tell you the one thing that I've learned is one of the keys to adulthood, and I'll do a video on this, like some keys to adulthood, is being able to critically think. Life does not always give you everything up front. Even millionaires can lose money. They have to be able to make adjustments, to be able to think critically. When I say critically think, means that the answer is not in front of you. You're going to have to figure out a problem that you might take time to solve. It may take you years to solve. It may take you decades to solve, but still it requires you to solve it nonetheless in order to move to the next phase. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people are not told that. So you're getting something I have yet to even teach my children on this video. You have to be able to think outside of the box, because sometimes going to work and having money is not it alone. Having money alone is not an answer to every solution. And I told my wife that. I said a lot of times, you know, then my wife accuses me of that all the time. You know, you just think you're perfect. No, I don't think I'm perfect. I am in the pursuit of perfection. Does that mean I will achieve it? No, but it beats someone who's complacent on being imperfect. I'm imperfect, so I need not change or better. I'm imperfect, so I need not make adjustments. I'm imperfect, so I am perfectly imperfect, as Lil Wayne said. And where the hell does that get you when you don't have Lil Wayne's money? You don't have the ability to offset imperfections with money. And again, even there, I don't see Michael Jordan taking that ideal. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm perfectly imperfect." He worked to perfect himself, and even then, he fell short of perfection. But that did not mean that he was not in the pursuit of perfection. And again, that is what is making everyone complacent and thinking that I am the table. That's what I come to offer. Well, there are a lot of tables. You could be a fold-out table. If you are a table, that's what you bring in. Not all tables are the same. That doesn't mean just because you're a table, you're a valuable table. There's a kid's table, still a table. But everybody is the table. And I would ask, okay, I am the table. What type of table are you? Are you a kid's table? Are you a fold-out table? Are you a handcrafted table made from the finest artisans? Or are you a throwaway table? I'm going to land my plane there. I think I've given you all enough. Something to think about. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about this? I'm trying to drop some knowledge, some gems, and look at that sunrise here. Look at that backdrop, man. Woo! Boy, I'll tell you. A lot of people do videos. They don't give you good scenery. I'm always giving you good scenery. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands. Don't forget, as Thanksgiving and the holiday season approaches, you can get my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, on Amazon. Link is in the description section below. Also, AncestryLands.com is where you can go and find property. And remember, folks, either own property or you be owned as property. Remember, I always say now, a word from the wise will be peace to your mind. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, and I'm out. Peace.